Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Sophia here, and thank you so much for clicking to watch this video. Thank you so much for 3,000 subscribers. That's really exciting. I just want to thank you guys so much. I'm going to be reviewing the new Kat Von D Cream concealers. I got these concealers in 7 shades. So in the video, I'm going to tell you guys how I feel about the concealer. I'm going to show you a on-camera application. I'm also going to show you swatches so you guys can actually see what shades you probably be in these concealers if you do decide to pick them up. I'll also be comparing them to other concealers that are already existing on the market and that are also a favorite of mine. That's generally how I feel about them. So if you do want to see my thoughts and review and first impressions on the new Kat Von D concealers, then definitely just keep on watching. I have 7 shades in total. I'm pretty sure I have more than 7. I think they're about 8. I just wanted to review for you guys so you guys can see what they look like. I got shades from medium to the deepest shades. I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys the packaging real quick, and then I'll go ahead and apply my foundation and then come back and show you guys how the concealer looks. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys the packaging real quick. This is what the packaging looks like, really Kat Von D style. It says Kat Von D on the side, and then when you flip it, it tells you what shade and also what undertone that the concealer is in. This is the shade Warm, medium 27 warm. So this is what the tube looks like. Which I think Kat Von D did still maintain her style. She has a little Kat Von D initials on the cap, and then I like that you can actually see through the bottle and actually see the color and the shade of the concealer. So right when you first twist the cup of the concealer, this is what you see and this is what you get. The wand of the concealer is transparent and see-through. Also, the doe foot is a really nice and different looking one. So I'm gonna go quickly and do my foundation and come back and review the concealer. I'm also gonna include swatches so you guys can see what shades to pick out. I don't actually know what shade I am right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and swatch them with you guys, and then I'll go ahead and pick out a shade for myself. And get into swatching all 7 shades so you guys can pick out what shades you like, and this also give you a chance to see how the concealers look on my skin tone and kind of give you an idea of what shade you would be. First off, medium 25 is the first shade that I got, and I'm just gonna swatch it on my hand so you guys can have a look at it. So right off the bat, you can actually see that when I was applying this concealer, I could easily tell that it's really full coverage. It almost reminds me of the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, but these ones are way more creamy. This is the shade M25 Warm. This would be perfect for someone who has more of a yellow tan undertone. This would be a great highlight on you. That's just one swipe of the concealer, and it does give you a really nice coverage. It almost reminds me of her actual foundation. Like, the consistency is almost like her Locket Tattoo foundation, honestly. These both are really nice for yellow undertones for medium skin tones. These are really great highlighters, highlighting concealers for you. The next shade will be medium 29, and this is a neutral shade. Alright, so going into the more warmer and tan shades, this shade right here is D31 Warm. This is also really nice for deeper skin tones, but with more golden undertones, I believe. So if you're like my skin tone, you can actually use this as a highlighter or as a highlighting concealer actually for underneath your eyes. If you have more of a deeper skin tone than me, let's say you were NW50 and MAC, this would be a nice highlighting concealer for you. And the last shade is D39. So just of applying it, the first swipe, the concealer does feel really creamy and you can feel it. I'm not saying it's too heavy, but you do feel the weight. Like you do feel like you have something on. So this is really full coverage. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do my normal highlighting per usual, just like any other concealer. Okay, so the concealer does blend really nicely. I actually love how it blends out. It blends out really, really nicely. Really, really nicely. It's not too drying and it's not just sitting there. It actually blends beautifully into my skin. It kind of just melts into your skin, which I really liked and I'm really impressed by. If you have the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Almond, this is a really very similar shade. Yeah, so normally when I blend my concealer, sometimes it starts to crease when I use like a regular concealer, but this almost gives me the same finish. So it's kind of like a hybrid between the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealers and my LA Girl Pro Concealers. I like how it's set and it's not creasing just right off the bat. So once I blended it out, it doesn't really feel any different. Yeah, it doesn't really feel different. I don't feel my skin like tugging or pulling. But when I first applied it, it does feel different. But the doe foot applicator feels really comfortable on your skin. And then I'll just go ahead and set this concealer per usual, just like I do with other concealers. I think I like this shade, but I would want to go for a more brighter under eye. So I'm just going to pop a different, maybe not. I'll just leave it as it is just to be fair to the product. So I'm just going to go ahead and set it with my Sacha Buttercup setting powder, and I'll let you guys how I feel about it. The rest of my makeup, so I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you guys can really get a feel of how my under eyes look like. Okay, so these are what my under eyes are looking at like today. The concealer does perform really nicely and I'm actually really impressed by the new formula. It's not really creasing. It definitely just looks like any other concealer that I've used, but I would give it a plus for the coverage, and I just love how it melts into your skin when you blend it out. And then I also like how it sets. It does set like a demi matte. It's very similar to how the LA Girl Pro concealers do set. So these concealers can be very comparable. They can both do the same exact thing for you. Honestly, they have the same amount of coverage, but this one has a lot more coverage than the LA Girl Pro concealer does. But I would still reach for my LA Girl Pro concealer. This one didn't like wow me. It didn't really like have that wow factor where I just like probably want to reach for it a lot. These have the same amount of concealer in it, but I like how this feels and I like how this also feels on my skin. But if you're that person that's looking for a really full coverage concealer to cover, like if you have really dark circles, I didn't really have a lot of dark circles. If you are a medium skin tone or a really fair skin tone and you do suffer from dark circles or purple under eyes or whatever the problem may be, this concealer is the one you should really go for. It is definitely really full coverage. But again, these cost about $3 and concealers will cost you $26 as you can see on the Sephora website. So you're definitely saving a lot more with the LA Girl Pro concealer. But if you're a really fair skin tone, Kat Von D has a white concealer for you, which of course you can mix in your other concealers to help it match you better. Her old concealers compared to the new ones, this one is definitely more lightweight, definitely more less coverage, and this one is more comfortable for an everyday wear and for just someone who doesn't really like a lot of concealer, like a lot of product on their skin. But this guy right here is going to be an OG in terms of full coverage. It does really remind me a lot of the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, but it also reminds me of her foundation. It does have a really similar texture to her foundation. I'm not saying it's as thick as that, but it does have a really nice amount of coverage. So again, if you're looking for a really full coverage concealer, just go ahead for the Kat Von D new concealers. I think they're worth the money, and I think they're even more expensive, more than the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, but you do get the same amount. These I believe retail for about $29, and these go for $26. I want to show you guys how the concealers have set on the back of my hand. So these are the concealers on the back of my hand. I don't know if you guys can really tell, but they don't look too greasy. They're not shiny. They don't look like they're just gonna slide off your face. I believe you can get away with these concealers without setting them, because they do dry to a really nice demi matte finish, almost exactly like how the LA Girl Pro concealers do dry. That is the end of the swatch and review and first impressions video on the Kat Von D new cream concealers. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I really hope that the video helped you guys figure out what shades to probably pick out if you do intend on buying. I do love these concealers. They're definitely full coverage. I think they're worth the money for the coverage and the way it blends in. I think they're definitely neck and neck in terms of just the way the finish looks like, and also the amount of coverage that you can get from both of these concealers. So if you do have this concealer, you almost exactly have this concealer, but this concealer just gives you more coverage. I just hope that makes sense. This concealer has more of that coverage in there, so if you want a really nice, good quality, full coverage concealer, then definitely go for the Kat Von D concealers. But if you want a cheaper alternative, definitely try out the LA Girl Pro concealers as well. So I do recommend these concealers. I think she did a good job on the formula. So will this be an everyday concealer for me? For me personally, I could see it being an everyday concealer, but I would only use a little bit of it. But my LA Girl Pro concealer is definitely my everyday concealer as of now. Who doesn't really like having to feel your concealer underneath your eye, or having to maybe just feel your foundation or concealer? This concealer might not be ideal for you, but if you're that person that's looking for a really full coverage concealer, again, I recommend you do try these out. And I do recommend these concealers for any skin tone. Honestly, if you're oily or dry, I don't think it really leaves your under eyes really dry. But if you have a dry skin, you can definitely mix these concealers with a really nice eye cream or a moisturizer or an oil, and I think it should really suit your skin tone or your skin texture really nicely. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section if you want to see any more swatch videos or any more reviews and first impressions, and just generally what I think about products. Let me know in the comment section, and I'll be sure to film that for you guys, and I'll see you guys on my next one.